Hey guys, it's Matt at Half-Life Reviews, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Winix 5300 series 3-stage air purification system. I've owned this system for a little over a year. This video is going to give you a little bit of a rundown about how it works, the features, how to change the air filter, and at the end of the video I'm going to have my final conclusion of how well this has held up over the past year. So stick around.
So I've owned the Winix series 5300 now for well over a year, and I've actually purchased another one because I was pretty impressed with, the price point of this and how well it really does do. Overall, it's a good looking unit. What you see is kind of what you get as far as the color there. It is a gray color. It's kind of classy. It might look a little bulky depending on your style. Everything's really easy to read on those front displays. Very simple to use. The settings are very easy. You can read through the instructions real quick to get a better understanding of it. A charcoal air filter that sits in front of the Hepa filter. It's said to reduce odors, and I do notice that. Usually it only reduces odors for a good month or so, and then you can replace it. I usually just leave it there to act as a pre-filter, catches some of the hair before it hits the Hepa filter. And then when you change the Hepa filter, you have that little red arrow pointing towards that button, which you hold for 3 to 5 seconds to let the machine know that you've actually changed the Hepa filter. You can see that red light on right now, and it's showing that the Hepa filter needs to be replaced, and that's the truth. As you can see, it's really kind of gungy there, and I'll be replacing that filter at the end of this video. So you'd hold that button for 3 to 5 seconds. That red light that is on right now will go off, and when it gets clogged up again after about a year, that light will come back on. That's the intake fan that's located behind the Hepa filter. It's a fairly big fan, and this does move some air, and depending on what mode you have it on, it really is gonna suck in some air, and that's where the air is outtaked in the back. Sometimes you can get some buildup on the back top of that unit, so you're gonna want to clean it with a damp cloth or something of that nature. Just keep it clean up there, maybe on the outside as well. It does collect a little dust. On the back, it's going to give you some information about, the electrical input, 120 volts, and then it gives you a little bit more info on, the operation of the unit, as well as, contact numbers and the serial number at the bottom in case you need to contact customer support. Up here on the top, you have this little sticker. I've left it. You can remove it, but it just lets you know what to do after you replace the Hepa filter. You're gonna want to basically warm up the unit with the new Hepa filter. They require you or suggest that you crank it on the turbo setting. So I guess it's kind of priming that new Hepa filter. And on the front, you can see you have 1, 2, 3, and turbo. That's obviously the speed. The higher those go, the louder the unit becomes. I typically leave it on that auto setting, and it's not too bad unless, the air quality sensor there under the power button notice some funky smell, and then it's going to crank up on its own. It can get annoying at nighttime. You can hold the power button for 3 seconds to turn on and off the plasma wave. Plasma wave is basically an ionizer. It's going to charge different particles with, a positive or negative charge to help break down air impurities. It's said that ionizers can be a health risk sometimes, so you can turn it off if you're really worried about it, but it's such a small ionizer in this unit, you really shouldn't have much to worry about. You can also hit that speed mode button and put it on sleep before you go to bed, and it's pretty much next to impossible to hear. The only gripe I have with the unit is the plasma wave at about the 5 to 7 month mark begins to squeal. You might think it's actually the fan inside the unit that is squealing, but it's actually that ionizer. For some reason it squeals, and it does get a little annoying. It sounds like a hamster running on a wheel. The best way to deal with that is just turn off that ionizer. I haven't noticed any gains with that ionizer on or off, to be quite honest. It's typically the Hepa filter and the charcoal air filter that does most of the work. So you can try it either way. And I'll be moving on to show you how to replace the HEPA filter and the carbon filter on the front of this unit.
Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and replace the filters in this unit, being the HEPA filter and the charcoal air filter. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and reach down. There's a couple tabs down here that are built into this front plate. You're just going to push them. It's going to pop off. You lift the front and unhinge it from the top. So you can set this aside. So the next thing you're going to want to do is make sure this is powered down. I did this earlier before I popped that plate off. You can do it now if you forget. You can just push the corresponding button up here to power it down. So the next thing you're going to want to do is remove this charcoal air filter here. This one's going to just kind of go ahead and pop right out. This is a generic replacement kit that I tried. I'll get into that more at the end of this video. So once you get that charcoal air filter popped out of there, you're going to look for these little tabs on the side of the HEPA filter. There's one on each side. You're just going to pull on that and this will pop right out. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this box cutter, slice open this package, concealing the new HEPA filter. Go ahead and pop that out. And as you can tell, this is the new one. And this right here is the old one. I'm sure you can tell a big difference on camera. This really does catch a lot of stuff that's in your house. So next we're going to go ahead and pop in this new HEPA filter. You want to take note that there's airflow indicators on both the top and bottom edge of this air filter. It's going to say airflow. It's going to have an arrow. You want the arrow pointing towards the back of the unit because the air is coming in through the front of the HEPA filter and coming out the top back of this unit. So again, the charcoal air filter comes in this Ziploc type extra large bag, if you want to call it that. Just going to slide one of those out and install it in front of that HEPA filter. So I'm holding this charcoal air filter in with my fingers. I don't know why, but the charcoal air filter never quite seems to fit in the HEPA filter as far as the frame goes. I've found this with generic replacements and with the OEMs. It's just kind of how it is. I wish they'd really address that because it's kind of a pain. So what I do in this case is I just go ahead and power the unit on and I start the airflow because that helps to hold the filter in place. So at this point what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this little button next to this red arrow indicating that you press for 3 to 5 seconds to turn off this red light. What I'm doing by doing so is I'm telling the unit that I've replaced the filter set. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this front plate back on the unit. You're going to start from the top. You're going to make sure that it sits in those little hinges at the top. Then you're just going to snap it in at the bottom. So when you order replacement filters, you're going to specifically look for size 21. Wherever you order the filters from, you want to make sure that it specifically states that it's meant to be used with the Winix 5300 series system. You don't want to get a filter that's too small or too large. It's just not going to work. I mean, you could try to trim it, but it's a total pain in the butt. So just make sure that you order the correct filters the first time around. So what I like to do with the old filters is put them in that plastic bag that the new filters actually came with. The reason I do this is once they're in the bag, I'm not contending with dust coming out of the old filter. So one thing that bothers me is this plasma wave. Like I stated earlier in the video, it does begin to squeal. At the 5 to 7 month mark, it's just what it does. It drives me crazy. I turn it off in my bedroom. I turn it off in the living room because I don't find that the ionizer actually makes a difference one way or the other. So another annoyance are the air filters. The price of them, I mean, it's crazy how much they cost. You can get them from $50, which I'm okay with, and that comes with the HEPA filter and 4 charcoal air filters, but the price fluctuates all the time. Generic always seems to stay towards the bottom, but usually you'll only be able to get the HEPA filter, then you have to buy the charcoal air filter separate. I have found that the OEM air filters work the best. They just do, they last longer, It absorbs everything that much better. When I use those generics, I do find myself getting stuffed up once in a while, but when I run with the OEMs, it just doesn't happen. So for the price point, it's a good purchase. You know, it really has helped me out quite a bit. I don't like rating things, but if I was going to do a 1 to 10 scale, I'd give this a solid 8. My only complaints being that plasma wave that starts to squeal at the 5 to 7 month mark and the cost of the filter replacements. I mean, the unit costs $150 typically. Figure you're going to spend $50 to $60 a year extra for the air filters. For me, as far as allergies go and getting congested and stuffed up, I mean, this really does pay for itself. So again, you know, I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. It hasn't broken down per se. There's never been an issue minus that squeal with the plasma wave. So I hope this review has helped. Go ahead and like and subscribe. If you want to dislike, go ahead. It doesn't really bother me. I know that's how YouTube works. But I hope for the quality of my videos to keep getting better. Again, this is my first review, so I hope you stick around and see the other reviews that I do later on. Have a good one.